All right, hi everybody. I don't know who's in chat right now, but we're here. We're here for Talk Devy To Me, issue version number 2. I don't know, V2, and with me is my friend and guest. He's right here above me, Mr. Troy Chaplin. Hi, Troy. How you doing, man?
Hey, how's it going, Ryan?
It's going great. It's going great. I'm excited. We've been talking about doing this for a long time. We're gonna learn about Veils of Fate, the game that you built, and we spent way too much time generating AI uh, images for this. Speaking of, I wanted to just mention I do have a new command. So in chat, if you write "bang Troy," you get the awesome picture of us with our fingers pointing in the blue thing. So that's a shout out to Troy, and so there you go, chat. So give it a whirl if you feel like it. Cool. All right, Troy. Well, tell us what the game is all about. Oh, people are already doing it. Nice. Kev. It's Kev. All right, cool. And I've turned the music off and got rid of the shutout stuff that happens because last time we did this, it got a little bit annoying. So, anyways, Troy, over to you. What is Bales of Fate?
So this is a text-based choose-your-own adventure game. I think back to when I was growing up, there was a series of books, and I think you're going to remember these two, Ryan. I think we talked about this before. There was a series of books from our childhood. Each page was almost like a little part of the story, and you'd get to the bottom, you'd pick like, oh, you want to do this, go to page 12, pick this, go to, page 18, whatever the case might be. So I always loved those books as a kid. I've really wanted to build something like that for a while. And, I could have used React. I could have just, a whole bunch of other tools I wanted to use, but I really wanted to do something with WordPress. So when the Interactivity API sort of came about, I was really interested in learning a little bit more about that. So that's when I kind of decided that maybe now is the right time to build this project. So yeah, I kind of just dove in and started working on this. So this is actually the first project for me where I sort of let AI sort of take control on a lot of the stuff I was doing. Typically, when I build stuff, like AI is my assistant, and I'm still doing a lot of the controlling here. But in this case, I sort of was just feeding my commands in, and I wanted to kind of play around with that side of development. I hear so many people talking about like they're vibe coding all of these apps and all this sort of stuff. So I wanted to kind of try my hand at that one a little bit. So this one kind of got a bit interesting. Now I know we're going to dive into the back end a little bit, and we're going to talk around about like the post types and how all of this stuff came about. But first, I want to talk about like just some of the various aspects that make up the game. So on the homepage here, you'll see this.
Oh,
I'll
just let me
refresh it so
switch
you
over to
see
your
like.
screen.
Oh
There
yeah,
you go.
sorry,
Sorry.
I
Yeah.
thought it was already showing.
No, I had it on mine. Like a dummy. You're good. Oh. We
What
lost
just?
Troy. What's happening?
Am I here?
Oh, I can hear you, but your camera's gone.
What just happened?
I don't know. And your screen's gone too. Did you close the browser by mistake or something? There we go.
Back?
Back.
Okay, there we go. That
Your
was weird.
camera's not yet, but I see you. You're just a big black box. But and your screen's sharing's gone again. Oh, now your camera's
Just
back.
yeah, that's because I clicked the wrong button to turn on my camera. I don't know what just happened there.
Hey, it happens to the best of us. You've seen my streams before, right?
Yeah,
You know what happens.
I actually know what happened now. I was trying to refresh this so we could see the nice animation, and I think my active window was the actual stream itself.
Oh, okay. Well,
Um,
that'll do it. Yeah.
right. So yeah, I wanted to refresh here just to show some of the animation. So one of the things I did is I've been fortunate enough to be a part of the Miles AI beta testing program from Andy Peatling. So I was lucky enough to get to build a theme for this game with that tool. So that was sort of the first part of the AI experience here with this game. Um, so you see, you scroll down, like I've written a lot of content here. So this was me and AI writing some of the content for the game. Just talks about these are actually some of the classes that you can use in the game, and I mean I love the AI imagery here. Coming down to get some of the info about the game, and then you come in just to more of the about sections. So there's a few sections behind the scenes in the game. Um, So what we can do though right away is I'm going to go into one of the quests. So what'll happen is when you first start the game, when I open this one up, I'm hoping to launch this maybe in a couple of weeks. I've got a couple of little refinements to do on the look and feel of things, but the game is finished. The game is fully playable at this point. Um, so
Is
you can
there
come in here now.
but it's not live? Like the Kevin's already asking for a link because that's what Kevin does. Comes in and hijacks stuff.
You know what? Maybe I'll get a link out at the end of the weekend. I just have a few things I would like to put in there, but I would like to get this out there to get some more beta testing going and get some feedback on how I can improve it and sort of where I can go sort of with the next chapter of this game. So right now you can come in and this would be your intro quest. So the intro quest, you can do it without being logged in. It's not, there's no requirement to have an account or anything. So the first quest is made up of 18 scenes. So in this case, a scene would be the equivalent of a page, if you were kind of thinking about the books, from our childhood. And each scene has an image that sort of helps set the scene. So you come down. I'm not going to read through it. I kind of think maybe give people the opportunity to read through it on their own at their own leisure. So when we come down, I'm going to quickly skip through a little bit, and so you come down, so you get in, so you get to the next scene. You get into one of the characters, you start understanding. So these are the founders. There's a page that I do have on the live site about the founders that you can read about who the 4 founders are. Gives you some information around the main storyline of the game. So then you come down. There's this, like the books, you come down and you can choose the next path that you want to go. This is where the Interactivity API came in really handy, where it's not loading new pages. I don't got to go and make a template for the scene post type and kind of go and reload everything. So you can just click in and it just quickly reloads here. It brings you back up to the top of the page. So you get your nice image and you start scrolling back down and you can read through all of these stories. So I'm going to really quickly.
I love that picture. That's awesome.
AI did some really great stuff. So this game in all of the scenes, there's 112 scenes. Actually, I should probably back up. There's the first act is Act 0. That's your prequel. That has a quest with 18 scenes in it. Once you get past that, you would get to the create a character screen, which would be this screen here. So I'm going to come in. I'm going to use my 12-year-old. Well, when I was 12 years old, this was my D&D character's name back when I was in high school playing with some buddies. So I'm going to choose an elf. And then you'll see you get like a little description of what the race is, and you'll get the same on class. So I'm going to be a necromancer, and you get a little description here. And then you scroll down, and you'll get some stats. So by default, the block that's on the page here will just spit out some stats. I've got it set to a total of 24, so you can't sit here and keep rolling to get perfect 20s across the board. I have limited the amount of rolls again, so you can't sit there and try to get your stats. Yeah. So I'm going to re-roll once here,
nice.
and I'll be happy with those stats. So I'm going to let's just get going on our journey.
Cool. And I think Carolina spotted five fingers. What she's saying on that last image, was there 5 fingers and a thumb, Carolina? Is that what you're saying, or like it actually has?
Oh, whoa. I forgot to erase. I already have a character in the game. I just forgot to go and erase it before we started the stream. Cool. So that's fine. So what happens here now is once you create your character, you're going to get to the account hub. So and I mean, Carolina's probably right. I'm sure there's a bunch of those images that have like 8 fingers and like one eye or something like this. But it's so weird. It's AI. It's it's really odd sometimes. So yeah, once you're logged in and you've got your character created, you've obviously completed the first act, which is down here. Well, Act 0. So that's your prequel. So that's been completed now. This is what I'm talking about, where I have some styles to change up. Like I don't like the spacing and the alignment of the icons. This is just me wanting to be a bit picky now before I really open this up.
Yeah. Oh no, I do got it right this time. Sorry, she meant it actually got it right.
Oh, okay.
Which is great.
All right, so you end up at this account hub where you can come in, and I will have images here. So each class and race are going to have some images. Far future, I want to add an upload your own image. So if you want to go out and make your own character in your vision, you can go ahead and do that. So that'll be a future upgrade that I'd like to do on the game. Behind the scenes, I'm actually generating various stats like attack, defense, magic points and stuff like that, because I do have some stuff sort of underlying in the code that would let me expand the game. I want to build boss battles. I have a million ideas of things I want to do. So I'm trying to set the stage early for it to be able to expand it without causing too much trouble as I build new things out. So once you're in, you can come in. You'll see that the full game itself has 3 acts. That's made up of 17 quests and a total of 112 scenes, including the prequel. So that would be 94 scenes once you get through the intro and you've created your account, you've created your character. You have basically it's a book of 90. It's a 94-page book that you
That's
can
cool.
play your way through. And you always can come back here. So we'll just kind of go into this one just really quickly, just to see some of the other choices. So if you're coming down, now the intro scene is set up in such a way where all of the choices at some point are going to make you go through every path, because it's actually explaining who the founders are, what the backstory is, and really sets
Okay.
the stage for everything. So the intro, you get everything. Once you get past the intro, though, you don't. This is where your choices are going to make
Oh, I see
more
what you're
sense.
saying.
You're going to make a choice, and you're not like, I might not get a moment to go collect myself. I might choose a path that won't let me come back there.
Right.
So I'm
So the
trying to
prequel kind
set.
of like is the world building part, where like you get to understand everything in the world, about the world, all the founders and all of that stuff, and then
Yeah, absolutely. And
yeah,
then
okay.
like once you get through the 3 founder areas, you get to start to learn a little bit more about yourself and how you factor into the overall story here.
Mm-hmm. We have a question in chat. First one from Crosskeys. He's saying, when you say Interactivity API, can I assume this is a block-based theme and individual blocks are making the calls?
Yes. Yeah, and we're going to dive into that. I'm
Mhm.
fully prepared to we're going to dive into the back end. We're going to take a look at all the post types, what's on each page. We're going to take a look at some of the code. So, we're
Cool.
going to see everything that's going on here. So I'm just going to answer the door. And then we come in and get down to another story, and then we start seeing some more choices. So this is where you're going to start to split out in the story and go down different paths.
Just a World 77 from YouTube is saying, hiya, Troy. You probably don't see the non-Twitch chat there, so I figured I'd call that out.
I'm trying hard to not look over on this screen too much and keep focused
No,
on this
do your
screen.
thing. I'll let you know if there's questions or whatever. If I have questions or people yell at you.
All right.
From
So yeah, so this is sort of the game. So now what's happening is one part that I realize that I do need to fix. I kind of have some of the stuff in place. So what happens is there's an API or an endpoint that tracks your progress through the game. So say if you're playing this game, but you got to go do something and you come back, I want to be able to pick up where you left off. I want to be able to start this at this scene. Right now, if I were to refresh this, I would be back on the first scene of this quest.
Okay.
But I am tracking this based on ID, so I just need to figure out how I can have a player come back in and pick up the game where they left off, the night before or whatever.
Oh, that would be very cool.
Yeah. Yeah, it's something that I planned early on. I just kind of lost sight of it with the 300 other things I was trying to do as I was building this thing out.
Well, you're building this on your own, so I mean, there's a lot that goes in here, right? I mean, I know.
Yeah, this is my fun little. This is my fun little passion project that has really no bearing on anything work related, other than I'm slowly learning the interactivity API, which is a big benefit. So if I come back into the account now, you can see styling aside that you can see we're going to start tracking the progress, and this is where I need to figure out the ID based stuff to be able to come back so I can put in how far into the quest, like whether it be 10%, 15%, give you an idea of how far you are into the quest at a minimum.
Yeah, for sure.
And then be able to continue the quest, or if you just want to abandon it. Say if you did make a choice and you don't like where you're going, I'm going to allow the player to reset themselves if they would like to. I'm thinking about how you would
to the beginning of the act or the beginning of that quest.
Yeah, the beginning of this quest.
If you could track like every decision.
I am.
And then display it, like it might be kind of neat. So
that would be a good follow up. Like there's games
almost like a get history of your choices, right? Like
I played a couple of games on
that might be fun.
Yeah, I played a couple of games on PlayStation where at the end of the story, I think there was one. It was Detroit. It was a cyborg game about like human looking robots who were police officers and various people in communities. But at the end of the quest, they showed you the full path that you chose, but they showed grayed out areas of the path that you didn't choose. So you got a good
Oh, that's
idea of the
cool.
scope of that quest. So that could be a really cool idea too.
It probably would help with replayability too. Like you might see it and be like, oh, there's a whole quest. There's this whole like decision tree that I didn't get into. So when I get to that point again, I'm going to go left instead of right this time and explore that whole thing. That might be cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Because one of the longer term ideas I do have is also building class or race based quests. So if you're a
Oh, cool.
necromancer, like you're probably going to end up doing some stuff that a paladin won't do, for example.
Right, right,
So
right.
I've got a lot of things I'd like to do in the future.
Oh, that's cool.
So yeah, so right now if I continue quests, as you can see, it goes back to the start of that quest. But let's
Mm-hmm.
just go through the full quest. But see, oh, I missed it. I clicked too quick. See, so right here now you can see that I've already chosen those paths. So this is where my problem exists. Where if I kind of continue the quest, if I don't go back to where I left off, I can't finish my quest. So it's a bit of a bug in
Oh,
the
okay.
system that I need to address.
Right.
But that being said, we can probably just jump into the back end, because I can show you one little thing that I've done, and this is sort of helping me test it, and it'll be good for if a user gets stuck and something happens.
Mm-hmm.
I can very easily come in, I can select my character, I can go into, so here's all the quests. I can go into Act 1, and I can reset my progress for that character on that quest anytime I need to.
Oh, nice. Okay.
That was super important for testing. There was no, I was starting to go through entire quests just to check like a third section or something like
Oh,
that. So it was a
yeah.
bit of a problem.
You had to go through 100 pages just to test the last one.
Yeah. And then here's another feature that I've added in as well, just to increase the replayability, especially once we introduce class or race-based quests. The ability to create more than one character. So right now my character is the necromancer, but maybe I want to come back later and play as a paladin and do the paladin quest line and stuff like that.
Right.
So I'm going to have the ability to build multiple characters, just to increase the replayability of the game. So if I come back here now, I can very easily come into account, and you'll see now there's a create a character option here.
Right, because
So I can go
because you're
right
not
back
limited.
through.
Nice.
I think my name in that post we made yesterday was Troilus, so I'll just kind of go with that. I'll be a warrior, and I'm just going to embark right away. So once you come back into the account hub, you see I have multiple characters now. So then each of these characters would have independent journeys being tracked. So if I switch over and I play as my original character, well, I've reset it, so it's going to be back at here again. But everything gets tracked independently. So what happens here is your character is tied to your user account, and all of the data for that character is tracked in an endpoint tied to that character specifically.
Nice. Very cool.
Right. So I guess we can probably dive into some of the stuff here in the back end, and I can kind of explain sort of the thought process to how I built the game. So I kind of had an idea of how I wanted to do it up front, and I definitely leveraged Claude Code to help me improve how that all worked. So the first thing I was like, I knew I wanted campaigns. I knew I wanted the ability to make multiple campaigns, and then within those campaigns have 1 or 200 quests, so like whatever I wanted to build. So if you come into campaigns, you'll see that we have the prequel and then the 3 main campaigns that I've currently created for the full game. So those campaigns get automatic, like the titles for those campaigns get synced into a campaign taxonomy. So that's how it ties the campaigns and quests together. Now, if you look at the quests, I'll just sort it. There we go. So here is the intro
Oh, I see.
game. And if I were to go edit this, so this is how the quests are built up. This was the hardest part to figure out, and this is where Claude Code was my best friend during this whole process, trying to understand how this works, learn how to build this, learn how to how it incorporated with the Interactivity API. So you come in, you can give it a description, and this is stuff that's going to show up on the account hub to give you an idea of what that quest is about. The taxonomy, this is where the taxonomies tie in. So actually, you know what? Let's just create a new one really quickly here.
You might want to, if you need to show the inspector sidebar. Well, no, the inspector sidebar is behind you and I right now. So if you need to show that, you might just want to make the browser window a little bit smaller.
Yeah. The nice thing about that, there's nothing here.
Perfect.
Everything is
Then never
built in
mind.
the editor, so it's really
Beauty.
simple.
Okay, cool.
So yeah, we'll just make a new quest. So we got new quest. And then if I go in, I'm going to pick a random one. So this is one of the taxonomies that ties into the quest itself, and then it's going to get scene. So what it does, it goes out, it gets every scene that's been tagged with the Alliance quest, and it dumps it in here on the page. From here, I can drag this around, set the order of how the scenes would be for me visually. That's just to make so it makes more sense to me.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to turn on any of these that I want. So you don't have to use every scene. And I set this up specifically so I could reuse the volunteer scene in a whole different quest.
So let me
So you can
let me pause you there for a second so I understand. So you have scenes which are connected to quests, which are connected to campaigns, right?
yeah
That's the sort of
yeah
okay. So a campaign makes up a series of quests. A quest is made up by a series of scenes. That's the
yes
flow. Okay, perfect. Okay.
yeah absolutely. So now in each scene, as you're building out the quest that the user is going to go through, you can come in, you can give your scene some prerequisites. So if you don't want a scene to be able to be visited by the player until they visit scene A, you can go ahead and do
Okay.
that. And that's sort of requirements on your scenes. I'm not going to put one in here.
Okay.
But here I can add a choice. This is pretty open-ended.
Oh, I
Pick your
see. So you're like,
choice,
yeah. And
and
then go to
then what
the
scene the
next scene.
user is going to navigate to when they choose that,
Oh,
or when
nice.
they pick that choice. And then you can add as many choices as you want.
Right. Question in the chat when you're
Yeah.
prepared. Are
Yeah.
these blocks actually generating markup, or are they just doing post meta CRUD that the template is generating from?
So the editor and the front end is very different. So this is just the editor. It's only in the editor. None of this stuff relates to the front end. The front end of this block is the actual quest, and it's your interactivity API that you navigate through and you read through as you play the game.
Okay. Cool. I think that'll become more clear once we get a bit further into it.
Yeah, for sure. So we come in, you can pick what your starting scene is. So in this case, I have the sacrifice at the top. We can say it's a starting scene, and then you can pick your final scene. So I've turned on the choice. And then you got another spot for required scenes. You can give a completion message. So at the end of your quest, you can, give the user whatever message you want. And then I can make other quests required as well. So there's going to be situations where you can't do quest B until you actually do quest A. So I built all of that stuff in as well. And then upon completion, I had the coming soon here just for early beta testing, but I've added the account hub now. So at the end of a quest, when you complete the quest, you'll end up coming back to your account hub so you can see all of the rest of the quests you can go through. I'm going to close this one down because if I come back to the fully built one, you can see like there's some required quests here. So these 3 quests are required. So these are the 3, like these 3, and these 3 here are quests per your character. So that's you're having to go through and you're reading about all those characters, but you can't continue on with your part of the story until you learn about the main founding characters, until you get to the final quest. Once we come down here, this is why I wanted to flip over to this one. So I'm outputting this on the back end just so you have a good idea. Let me zoom in here. Just so you have an idea of some of the stuff that's being stored here as we go in this quest. And this all comes out to the endpoint, which then the interactivity API is using to build the actual quest that you play through. So I'm storing all the required scenes here, some prerequisites, all of the active scenes. So basically all of the data that we just looked at is all getting stored and then used by the interactivity API.
Wow, this is cool.
So yeah, there's a bunch of that stuff here. So that's how the quests work. There's some stuff I'd still like to do there, but I think as far as like a quest building tool, it's pretty good so far. It's kind of suited my needs for this whole story so far. And then if you take a look at scenes, you see there's 112 scenes that make up the full 3-act plus prequel part of this game. again, the taxonomy used for quest relations, that is automatically synced from the names of the posts that you have in the quests, and that's how the scenes get pulled into your quest itself. You can add this to multiple taxonomies, which would allow you to reuse any given scene on any given quest. And then these are pretty simple. They're just all text. There's really nothing to it. Text, and then a nice little feature image, which is what you see on the front end that the Interactivity API is using.
So the questions are done at the quest level. Like the choices are done at the. I'm sorry. Yes. The choices are done at the quest level, and that's what you were defining there. And
yes. So yeah, the quest drives all of this stuff. So every part of it is driven by the quest editor here.
Right. Okay. Awesome.
Yeah, and then it's similar in the campaign. I'll just pull one open here. It's pretty similar. I haven't styled this one yet, so it might be a bit hard for people to really read, but it's very similar in a way that you're picking like, okay, well, you got a prerequisite for this. So, you can't do Act 2 until you do Act 1.
Right.
And then the quests, so this quest order will tie into how your quests are going to get listed here, and that would determine the order that you're being suggested to do them in. And these can all drag and drop around, much like the quests and the scenes. And then I can add a quest here quite easily. And then again, I'm just outputting all of the information, so it's just easier for me to kind of figure out what's going on as I'm building this out.
It's pretty cool.
So that's sort of
super. Like the amount of thought that went into this is pretty good. I mean, pretty good. It's really good. It's like it's very cool.
It took a long time up front just to kind of figure out how I wanted to build it, because there's just probably 20 different ways you could build it. I was just trying to figure out like what made this the most sense for how I wanted to approach it and some of the ideas I had. And I talked with Claude Code quite a bit to plan this one out. But I was always making sure as I was having those conversations, like, well, I want to do this in the future, like make sure that's part of the thinking and trying to make sure there's some future proofing going on here.
That's very cool.
So yeah.
There's a question in chat if you haven't. What was your experience in terms of what was your experience in terms of the build experience? Are these scratch builds, or are they interblock groups of vanilla stuff with the Interactivity API pulling the strings?
Not sure I completely understand the question.
Crosskeys, are you meaning like the scripts build process, or you mean like the build of like putting all the pieces together? Can you clarify your question just a little bit?
I'm reading his question here as well.
Are these sort of the intergroup? I think he's talking about the editorial, like the thing that you were showing us. I think that's what he's talking about, where you have all the.
Well, let's just dive in and take a look.
All right.
So this is so we got our plugin. So there's two pieces of the project. I got my theme by Miles here, and then I've got my plugin for this project here. And you can see we've got our source file. So we got some blocks going on in here. So we can take a look at a bunch of these really. So like the account hub, this is just a React app on the front end. Nothing too crazy here. So this is sort of, is that a good zoom level? Should I zoom in more or out?
No, I think that's fine. We can't really see your the file system, but
oh yeah, that's fine. So I'll flip it over here really quickly and we can show it, and then I'll kind of pop it back, move it back to the left.
Oh, that might be better. Yeah.
Okay. I'll just do it that way then. Yeah. Keep it small.
And you can just toggle it on and off too, if that's easier. So.
Yes. Make sure I got my. There we go. Shortcut keys. Yeah. So in the blocks, you'll see that we have an account hub, and then we have the quest editor down here, the user. So the user registration and the account hub are React applications that I want to do a bit more work on and see what I can leverage that's available to me in core, and try to be as close to core as I possibly can with the project. Your campaign editor, the character creator is also a React app. But I think the one that's the most interesting here is the quest editor itself. So the quest editor, you can see we're supporting the Interactivity API and loading all of the nice things that we need here for that. And in the edit file, so this is, open both of these actually so I can do that. So in our editor, There is all kinds of stuff going on in here. And I'm not going to lie, I'm not familiar with every single thing that's happening in here. This is just the idea of me leveraging AI to really
Mm-hmm.
steer the direction of this project a little bit more. And I definitely need to come back in and start learning a little bit more around some of the more specific things as a means to learn the interactivity API as well. So we have all of our attributes and constants and a bunch of functions going on. But as you come down, try to look at anything specific that we want to show. So here's like fetching the scenes. So you're fetching the scenes and you're bringing all of that stuff back and passing more of the information back in. And then more filtering going on. So these are our active scenes and grabbing some IDs for some of the code. If I flip back here, we should probably open up a quest so we can kind of go back and forth and look at some of the individual pieces. All right, so we got our required scenes, so you can select required scenes. So it's pulling in some data there and setting. So this is setting all the IDs in the endpoint to be able to pull that data out. I don't think there's anything too crazy here. A lot of it is just like fetching IDs and then storing IDs and linking things together here to build all that out. Now the front end is a part that that is going to be the most interesting and how that works. So you come in, obviously, Interactivity API here. And we're setting some constants to add some sessions going on for the user, so it's tracking what they're doing. And then we're going to get the visited scenes. So this is the part where I need to do work, right? So we're getting the visited scenes because that's been stored to your character. And that's sort of the part where if you continue on a quest, the system already knows that you've done those scenes, so it doesn't let you click on it again. So I need to kind of fix that continuing your quest, right?
It's instead it's being stored in session storage there, like in the browser,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. Cool.
All right, and then saving the visited scene. So saving here's your visited scene. So it's saving every scene that you go to. It stores all of that stuff as well. And then we start getting into the actual quest editor here. So we're setting our state on stuff and looking at the current scene. Getting the title. So just running a bunch of functions here, like getting various pieces of data here. So your featured image, the alt tag. One of the things I did too, and I'll talk about that a little bit. Like I wrote a CLI command to import some of this stuff too, because there was a lot of data that I didn't want to do manually because ain't nobody got time for that. So we're going to get the current choices here. And then what's the hidden choices? Where the choices list should be hidden. I'm actually not sure what that is right now. The beauty of AI, right? Yeah. Checking the final scene, checking required visiting scenes, completion stuff. So let's just kind of skip down. We don't need to look through every single function, but let's just kind of skip down to where the magic actually happens. So down into the actions here. So here's the loading. So now this is stuff that I know you'll be able to read and be able to understand probably a lot quicker than I would be, Ryan, at this point. Just you've done a far more
I don't know about that.
far more work with the Interactivity API than I have. So we're loading our scenes by ID here. A lot of state stuff going on. Here's our endpoints. So we're grabbing all of our data from our endpoint. Setting some timeouts here. So that's our scrolling back to the top. So when you click a choice, it's going to load, it's going to reload in the editor view and then scroll you back to the top just to make it nice and simple for the user to not have to do that themselves, which is sort of a pain.
Yeah. No, it's great.
Yeah, and then tracking visiting scenes. This is where we're tracking where you've gone and some of the stuff that you've done. So we're grabbing the ID and we're storing that in an endpoint as well. So right here, we got our saving progress endpoint that I mentioned earlier that I need to kind of go back and do a little bit of work on. And then we've got our function down here to handle our choice selections. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on here that I need to learn a lot more about. I'll put it that way.
Yeah. So how are you doing the navigation? Is the navigation done with the router region, or is it just like loading a next page?
So that would be right here, I believe. So like is the choice buttons.
Yeah. Like when you click a choice, what happens? Does it load then another page? Like maybe you can
No,
walk us
so
through the
it's
data flow of that way of that thing.
yeah. So if you're coming in here, and there would be an ID on this somewhere, probably where that ID is. It's here somewhere, or maybe it's grabbing it by the class. But what's happening is you'll see we have our act up here and the title of the act itself.
Mm-hmm.
And then let me just zoom out because it might just do it that way. And that way, when I click an option,
Mm-hmm.
the content itself is refreshing. You're scrolling back up to the top of the page, so it's just within the contained area. So you're not reloading the entire page.
Right. Yeah.
Thinking
Yeah.
about how a React app would work is
So
basically the
so that's
idea
what
of
I
this
was
one.
wondering. Like, how are you doing that? Is that being done using like the interactivity router package and data regions and all that, or is it being done a different way?
I don't know.
Cool. Sorry to put you on
But
the spot.
again,
I'm just curious.
no, it's all good. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna be pretty open and honest here. Like I really just let AI drive the wheel here, and
Hey,
and my
man.
plan is to come back and learn how it all
Yeah.
actually
Yeah.
works, and then be able to start to do real stuff in my day-to-day working life with
Right.
the interactivity API. Like I've got a ton of ideas here. So
So
um,
not to push it too much further, but in the render of this block, which is rendering out that content, what does
mhm.
that look like? Like in the render dot php? Like we look at that directly. Is there a render dot php? Like there should be like a
Yeah,
well, yeah, there'll
there
have
is.
to be. So okay.
Um,
So we look
yeah.
in there, and then okay, cool, and then so
Yeah,
where's
so
the
just some error stuff
yeah
going on up front here, and then grabbing all of the data from. So a lot of the stuff is being set in post meta.
yeah. And so
So we're
you're
grabbing all
using
of the
that as
data.
the state for the block or the context, I guess, for the
Yeah.
block. Okay. And then
Yes. Then what is this one? Because it's just checking to make sure you have permissions for your character and your
right.
account and stuff. And then just more error handling here. This is on the create a character. Just checking to make sure that you have a character, because there was times where I was testing and I didn't have a character, but I was able to
Right.
go through and play. So we had to add some of that stuff back in.
For sure. So if the
Um,
Isabel's character.
yeah, I'm going a bit too slow or a bit too fast for you.
No, it's fine. Carry on. I'm good.
Then you're gonna get down into so here's if there's no scenes available in the quest. So if there's
Right.
if I've made a mistake on something, at least there's an error gonna get thrown up here as well. So then you start getting into, okay, we're going to start grabbing some of the post type data here now. So you can see there's a post type for scenes. And then grabbing more data. So where does it really start? So here's the interactivity. So here you go. So this is initializing our state and setting all kinds of data. It's pretty simple, straightforward, well named.
Yeah, no, it's great. And
Then we get down to loading our state. So we're going to load our scenes. And then here's this is really where the magic happens then. So here's the data bind. Some of that stuff going on from the interact. This is stuff I'm starting to learn a little bit more about now, just so I can understand how it all works. It was really funny. This is a very different approach to learning something. Normally I learn by doing a course or reading a bunch of stuff and building as I go. I figured I'd try to reverse engineer that idea and build something and then go learn how it actually works after the fact.
Yeah.
I do wish I had more time to. I do wish I had more time to learn it before we did the show. But also by booking the date for this show, it lit a fire under my butt to finish this thing. So
and
it was
I'm
kind
not
of a
asking
win.
to put you on the spot or make you call you out or anything. I'm genuinely curious because this is one of the most complicated apps I've seen. I think I've seen built with the interactivity API. So just understanding how it all fits together is pretty cool. And so okay, so just scroll down just a little bit further there. So is this where
there's
right the title,
so there's the choices, right? So the content's happening right here. That's where the content's happening.
Okay, so it's just we're just outputting the content. Okay, cool.
So if we come up, so here's what's happening with the content.
So you're getting, oh my god, that is. So okay, and the content gets pulled from, I guess, whatever veil starting.
So from the
post.
scene.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
Yeah, so it's getting the content here from the scenes. Yeah, it's grabbing the scene and you start. Yeah, so right here. So here's your starting scene ID. gets passed in here, and it ends up pulling out the content from right here.
Okay, cool. So it doesn't look like it's using the router, which isn't necessarily an issue or a problem. Or I was just curious because that would have been my thought was that because basically what the router allows you to do is you have a post, let's say, right, like a scene, and then when you click the next button, like to go to the next page, it will just pull the routers from that next page and repopulate that one section. But they're doing it already in just a different way. It's not wrong, not bad, just different. And yeah, cool. It's very cool.
I figured there'd probably be a couple of different ways to do it. But
Yeah.
Again, it was just a matter of learning what was the best approach.
For sure. No, and I mean, again, I'm not like you did it wrong, Troy. That's not what I mean at all. This is super cool. I'm just curious. I like to poke through the code, and
Yeah, no, absolutely, and that's why I gave you access to the repo, so you could have all the
Yeah.
time you wanted to kind of take a look through it as well.
Super cool. Super
Yeah.
cool.
So then here's all of your choices. So then here's how the choice setup works. It just grabs all the choices that are attached to the quest and builds all of that stuff out as well, and then so it triggers a reload there.
Nice.
And then we have our quest completion information. So whether it be, whether you're completely finished and whether you're going to continue on to the next quest or the account hub, there's different little logic going on there to determine, what the user should be prompted with.
Nice.
Oh, interesting. Okay, that's cool. That's a sort of a wrap it up sort of thing.
That's neat.
So yeah, so that's
super cool,
sort of
man.
I think it's cool. I mean, from as far as like playing the game and how it works and stuff like that. Now, I mean, as far as the code goes, I mean, I definitely need to spend a lot of time kind of diving into, to properly understand it, to make sure that there's no ways I can approach things differently and stuff like that. But that was sort of the fun part about this project, was like building it without thinking too much around those parts of it, like pushing off that more of the learning experience to after the fact, and just having fun, just vibe coding this thing out as best as I could. It was really fun. It was just I don't do that like ever. So it was really fun to take that approach for once and see what I could do with it. Like, so it was fun. I would definitely do it again on a project that wouldn't be critical for work.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I mean, who's going to pay you to do that too, right? Like your clients aren't. Your clients won't, or your boss is like, I'm not paying you to just dick around and write potentially bad code, So yeah, it's cool to be able to have these little side projects. I mean, unless you're me, I get paid to write crappy code and show people, but that's not standard. And my code needs to get better. I was told that by a couple of people the other day, which is good. It keeps me honest. Anyways, yeah. Okay, cool.
Quickly pull open like the created character. So what we have in the created character, it's pretty simple. It actually does. I did want to make sure I was using the interactivity API. So I do want to get to a point where like everything is sort of in into one area where you go and you create your character, you flow right into your account hub, and all of it sort of be handled by the interactivity API as opposed to the different pages. I'm not sure if that's going to be the best choice, but something I definitely want to explore.
I think you could do it. I think it all needs to be different pages in the sense of like a page for thing, a page for thing, and a page for thing, and you just basically pull in. Like if you were to look at the interactivity router package, you can do things like load the next page, and you would wrap your sort of, let's call it content, whatever, you define a region called content, and then when you click the button to go to your account page, it would look at that page, it prefetches that page that you've already built, and then it grabs, my hand's cut off here because of where my camera is, that's hilarious. But it grabs that chunk and just replaces the other chunk on the current page. So it's that really like single page application approach. And there's another really cool thing where you can actually append to pages. So if there's a thing that's like on the next page that isn't on your previous page, it'll actually insert it for you. It's pretty cool stuff. Pretty cool.
I already have a couple of ideas around that. So
like for modals, I definitely need like call outs and stuff. Yeah, it'd be very, very cool.
Yeah, I need to dive in and learn, because there's a few things that I just thought about as just a couple things you mentioned that generated some ideas. So I
It
mean, I
doesn't mean you
definitely
have to have
plan on
all of your
expanding the
pages
game.
built out. Like, yeah. So the dynamicness of what you have going on might not, you like, if I'm understanding how it all works correctly, you need to have you need to have the quest page for quest 1, and then you need the quest page, or sorry, the scene 1, scene 2, scene 3. All of those need to be built out, and because you can come in at any single one of those, right? So let's say, like, and
Hmm.
that might actually help with your starting from a scene that's inside of a quest, because you would have a scene page that would be just whatever, yeah, quest name slash scene whatever, blah, blah blah, right? So the URL there, but then from that URL you can import the other things as needed. So you could actually say, I'm actually on scene 7 of quest 4, and that page just gets loaded right away.
I'm gonna have a conversation with Claude about that tonight, I think.
You know, question for you: are you using the
Mhm.
WordPress AI skills for Claude?
No, I haven't set
Because
those up yet. Believe it or not, I should. I keep forgetting.
they, yeah,
I sit down and I dive into something, and I
I'm
forget
exactly
all
the
about
same
it.
way. I was like working on something and I'm like, hey, I should do this, and then I forgot to do it, and then I sorry, I'm just gonna get the
I have them
is
somewhere
this,
in my. I know someone had posted. I saw them posted somewhere. I think it was on Twitter a couple days ago, and I just, because I keep forgetting, I threw it into my taskbar to go back, thinking that I would actually remember to do that, and of course I
mhm.
didn't.
Well, I'm gonna drop it in chat for anyone that's interested. So
Cool.
it's called, it's a GitHub thing. You just install it in Claude, and it's got things for like the Interactivity API. It's got all sorts of stuff. So it really um, informs Claude of what it needs. So it might
Cool.
help.
Oh boy, you're not wrong. When there's a pretty big delay, I went over to open that link up so I could just look at it sort of after and install
Yeah,
it, but
yeah, it's a
pretty
bit
big delay.
yeah.
I wanted to pull open the create a character a little bit because like there's some stuff
Mhm.
in here
Let's
that
do
I
it.
thought was pretty interesting. Like, and I've alluded to it a little bit, but I haven't really shown it yet because it's something that I want to pull out in the future as sort of an expansion or an improvement to the game. But I
Mhm.
was mentioning that we're also automatically generating like strength and dexterity and a bunch of other typical stats that anybody who's played like even a classic RPG, like I started with the old school Final Fantasy on the NES type days, and like so I'm used to like some of these classic stats, so I tried to build some of those things in while mixing in some of the more modern things like the necromancer and the paladins. They're more modern classes in
Mhm.
the RPG worlds. Let me just open up my character here. It's a completely unstyled page because I just haven't gotten into this part of it yet. But if I were to open up my character, I'll highlight it so you can actually read it a little bit easier because
Nice.
it's completely inaccessible and unstyled.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But you can
It's
see how
work in
I've got my
progress.
character name. I am generating stats because, like I said, I do have a long term goal to put boss battles in to the end of
Oh, that's
certain
cool.
quests or something. So I do need to figure out a combat system. I have no idea how I'm going to do it, but I'm sure we'll figure it out at some point. And then we got some health points. So there's a max health point. There's going to be some stamina points, which I think that might let me allow a character to run from an enemy. So I would love to have random encounters. I'm a big fan of that style
Oh,
of
that's
RPG
cool.
game.
Yeah,
I don't know
yeah,
how it
like
would
Dragon
ever apply
Warrior.
to this.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then you got your combat thing. So there will be points I think that there will be some enemies that you can bail from. You don't need to fight them because you're not going to be strong enough. But that would bring in the replayability to come back and
Oh,
fight
that's
that
cool.
boss or whatever the case might be. So I'm planning a lot of stuff behind the scenes that I'd like to do over time.
That's really cool. Well, then you
So
have to have like spells and weapons and armor and like
I have an
attacks
inventory
types and
system.
stuff. That's oh
I have
nice.
I
Yeah.
do have an inventory system in play, and one of the things that I was talking about with Claude when we were planning this was the ability to make items required as well. Like I'm thinking back, like you go back to the old school PC gaming days of like the was it like, well, Leisure Suit Larry is the one that first comes to mind, but like you get like the
Leisure Suit
some
Larry.
of those
I
space
remember
games, and
that.
there was a bunch like King's Quest. I couldn't remember the name.
Yeah.
King's Quest was another one,
Yeah.
but there were ones where it was like go get the broom to give to the maid, to get the
The
banana to give to the
yeah.
monkey. Like it's all those weird things. Like I'm not going to go that crazy in depth, but I like the idea of like you can get
It's
a
fun though.
key from a quest, or if you fight a boss, you're going to get the key,
Yeah, and it
but that
unlocks a
key
whole
will
quest
open a
line because
door. Like
yeah,
yeah,
that's cool.
so
I like that idea.
Yeah,
There's
I
a
got
question from YouTube for you. How are your
yeah.
stats? Just because we're talking stats, how are your stats playing into the story at this point?
Not at all. That's why they're
Okay,
not visible up front. I just
right.
so if you look at the account hub at the moment, it just shows you this because you want to get that feel of the RPG. Like this is how much,
Yeah,
health I
yeah,
have. It plays no bearing into the game. It's just there's things I've kind of built in sort of underlying in the code that's ready to open those things up, as I once I finish this main part.
hmm
I do want to jump back in, and that will play a factor at some point. So you do have all of these stats here, and they're all being automatically generated based on the role that you do when you create your character. So again,
Nice.
that uses the interactivity API here as well on that screen.
There's a follow up question here. I think I can answer it, but
Mhm.
you tell me if I'm wrong. The follow up question: and is the story linear or more open world? I'm assuming it's linear because it's choice based. So
No,
no.
well, it's not really a spoiler, but at the end of it, you need to make one of four choices to end this. And when I make the next expansion, that's going to have an impact on where you can actually go after the fact.
Oh,
So,
nice.
yeah. So I
So,
thought about
but you
that one
can't
because,
just go anywhere at any time. Like you can't just be like, I'm on scene one, and like you're given choices in a sort of a linear way, but your
yeah,
choices inform other choices, right? So it's not
yeah,
like
yeah. So,
you're dropped in a world, you can do whatever you want. It's like you dropped in a world, and here's two ways that you can go. So I guess that's
yeah,
similar.
it's not like the big open world RPG games where they drop you in as a character and give you
Yeah,
a
and you
piece
have
of
to.
wood and tell you to go figure it out, and you
Yeah,
spend
exactly.
300 hours not doing
Yeah,
anything.
grinding trees so you can build a shelter. Yeah.
Yeah. No, so for the most part, I mean, I'd say it's about 80% linear right now and about 20% choices. And I do plan on sort of breaking that out a lot more as we start to get into, expansions and opening things up with boss battles and inventory. I do
Right.
want it to feel like someone is in a larger world. And I got a map. I have like other regions ready to go. I think I showed you the map, Ryan.
Yeah,
It's
it's
part of
very
one of my
cool.
scenes. So there's a lot of ideas that I have for the long term growth of this, but I think first I just need to like stop, finish what I've got, get it out there, and start getting feedback
Yeah,
on how I can make it better, and then start planning more things towards the future.
I think it's really cool. Mike Corkum just logged into thumbs up the Leisure Suit Larry reference, by the way. Hello, Mike. This is I mean I'm thoroughly impressed. I think that this is super cool. Um, so can you explain how I have some interactivity API questions. So in your stores and everything. So each one of these pages, like for example, when you load this page, this front end is powered by a single store. I think you're calling it a character creator or what, like, you know what I mean? So is there one block that manages that entire thing, or is it a series of blocks
Yes.
that are sort of working together?
No. So if you look at the account hub, it's
hmm
just it's my account hub block, and then
Okay,
you come
cool.
over to the account hub itself, and then what you're going to get on the front end. It's one block to handle all of that. Now
Right.
the account
One
hub's a bit
block to
easier
rule
because
them
you're just
all. Come on,
yeah,
one block
pretty
to rule them
much.
all. That's the. Come on, it's a Lord, it's a reference. Perfect for this. By the way, has no one seen that I'm wearing my Hellfire Club T-shirt because this is like D&D related? Come on, not a single person called it out. Whatever. Probably just think I'm a big nerd. Carry on. Carry on. Enough of that.
So yeah, I
Enough
think
of
for
that.
the most part, every piece of this is just it's one block. Now, what you'll see is in some cases just to make things more reusable, I did start to build out some components
Mm-hmm.
where I could like start to reuse pieces, but then I started to feel like, okay, this is going to take me a lot more time, and I wanted to kind of get the game in a playable state,
Right.
and then cycle back to start looking at how I can make more reusable components and kind of break things out a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Do you
so
see
just
any
kind of getting ready
any
for that.
benefit of like, probably with what you're doing, the answer might be no, but I'm just to play devil's advocate. Like I've built complicated interactivity API things, and it's really cool to be like one of the places where it really shines in WordPress is like we used to have the React app that was like, I always kind of compare it to Flash, like back in the day where you would just like insert Flash here and it would be this black box of all the things.
Mhm.
And if you needed to, and if you needed to make modifications, you couldn't. You had to recompile. And like React is like that, in the sense of like you target a div, you put the whole app in, and then the app is inside this app. Or yeah, and then but where the interactivity API really shines is where you can have like 5 or 6 or 10 blocks that make up your UI, but they're all separate blocks and they all talk together. So like, would there be any benefit for you to take some of those UIs and try to split them out into blocks? Like say you wanted to change the UI on like if you jump back to the character page on the front end, for example, right? Yeah. So let's say that you wanted to
Mhm.
move your journey around, or you wanted to insert something between characters, or like you wanted to take these pieces and kind of like and make the page more composable, I guess is what I'm looking at, is what I'm wondering. I mean, it does mean more blocks, it does mean a bit more work, but the interactivity really, the interactivity API really shines with that, because it all has the same store, and it allows you to insert patterns and all that sort of stuff. Just a, I don't know if that's a food for thought question, I guess, but I was just wondering if like I see like with what you've built, it's very like it doesn't make sense for things to move around too much. But if you ever decided that like I'm going to put in, I want to have a drop down that shows me all of my individual stats. You know, you would have to go in and rebuild that whole block out to add that in. Whereas if you just had it as blocks, you might just be able to build a details block and then throw it in there. You know what I mean? Like I'm
So I think
assuming that all of these are
that could be
just
probably
a
pretty
single
useful
block.
for this page, for example, like to build this one out. Like the vision on this one was not
Mm-hmm.
just stats. There's going to be your photo.
Yeah,
The player can create a little story for
exactly.
that character if they really want to get into it.
Yeah,
Um, you could have a separate block on here that would pull in like your progress. So this character has completed X, Y, and Z, or this character is currently in this position within the story.
yeah,
This character has defeated these bosses, like thinking about long-term stuff, like this character has got these items in their inventory. Like I think all those could
yeah.
be those individual blocks that you're thinking about. So that would be a great approach to like building out this page here. Because I really I think about like when I play a game on like my PlayStation or something like that, and I get to my character screen in a great RPG, like I see a lot of detail. There's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of screens to go through. I like the idea of having a lot of that stuff here as well, just
Hmm.
to give that, just to let the player really kind of get into it a little bit more, and that also will give me the ability to look at like, oh well, I can go and add this to the game and that to the game and stuff like that. So I think
For
this will
sure.
be a perfect page for what you're saying there.
Yeah, and I think it would also allow you to be um, a bit more nimble in the sense of like, let's say you wanted to do Veil of Fate 2, or you wanted to do Spaceship of Fate, right? And so you have all of these things, and now you've got like a, because what you've built is a pretty amazing sort of platform to build this style of game on. And if you just want to apply a different theme to it, and now it becomes a space-based game, or it
Mm.
becomes like a whatever zombie apocalypse game, which I would play the absolute crap out of, by the way, a zombie apocalypse version, one of these. Hint, hint. Uh, yeah, I think that'd be fun. I think that'd be an interesting like, and it would really allow you to easily modify stuff. I'm not trying to convince you to do anything. It sounds like I am, but I've just seen it become very, very easy to like, oh, you know what? I don't like where that button is. I'm just gonna move it in the template rather than like rebuild it and like mess with all the
Hmm.
CSS and everything on that. So
Yeah, there was a couple things I'd thought about as far as like the letting the user have more control. Like, what if I wanted to move this character over to this side and
oh yeah, yeah,
change
yeah,
my
yeah,
view? Like I have the drag and drop setup already going on in
yeah.
the quests itself. So it's like, why could I not just
Yeah.
do that and
I
then
don't
store
even
that as well?
necessarily mean like giving the user that level, although that would be a very, very cool thing to be like, I don't care what my stats are. I want that always to be minimized. But I mean, from someone like from you managing the site and being able to like make changes to it quickly by just like inserting a new block inside the template, because then that template, because here's a good example. Let's say that this ends up having like multiple campaigns, or yeah, multiple campaigns. No, yes. Anyways, but you want to have one campaign with certain things and one campaign without certain things, and you have multiple page templates that handle that. If you insert this block, account block on both pages, but let's say the secondary one doesn't want to show the characters, I don't know why, you don't have that flexibility, You just put the block
Hmm.
on and you get everything. And so that's sort of what I was
Yeah. Okay. I see. That
sort of
makes
getting
sense.
at there. Yeah. But I mean,
It
again,
would make it a
it
lot
may
better
not
for
make any
debugging
sense.
too.
Yeah. Well, that's
Like
true.
just
Yeah.
breaking it out into smaller individual pieces. Like, because like
Yeah.
the amount of stuff I've had to debug here. I mean, if it weren't for Claude, it would have been a giant pain. But
For sure.
I think like when I finally get into like I need to learn this for myself and not rely on AI for it, I think breaking it down into smaller blocks will help with the learning as well
Yeah.
as the debugging stuff as I start to take on a bit more of the responsibility of building the service sort of on my own and not relying on AI at all times, which is I don't want to do that for for the whole game. It was just
Yeah,
more to
for sure.
get me going here.
Yeah. It will
Um,
mean you'll have a ton of blocks to manage, which is
that's fine. I
kind of
mean,
maybe a bit nuts, but yeah, I can't tell you though how cool I think this is. Like, I think this
I think
is
it's a
so
cool
much
idea. I've
fun.
wanted to do it for a
Yeah,
long time. Like my wife is a librarian and my kids are avid readers and I loved these books as a child.
me too.
And I know my daughter is already wanting to play this game. Like I haven't let her kind of get in there yet either. Like she really wants to dive in and play it as well. Like they love reading. So like it's really nice to be able to do that. And my kids have been involved. My kids have had some influence on the game and they've sat down with me and they've helped me with some of the imagery and stuff. So it's been fun to kind of get them involved as well. So
Well, that's
it's been a
awesome.
fun little project to get them involved with. And we were talking a little bit earlier where I'd like to make like a little theme song for the front and
Yeah,
you've created some really cool options there too, or like get my kids more involved in that side of it. And I'd like my kids to get more involved in like my kids love to draw, so maybe they can have some influence on some of the art and other areas too and make this a little family project that we
for
work on.
sure. I think that's.
Yeah.
I think
One
it's
of the
so
things
cool.
I wanted to mention, you had mentioned it a bit earlier with the whole idea of like I'd love to play a zombie game and stuff like that. I was having a conversation with Chris Reynolds about some of the stuff in this game. Like he's a big RPG guy, he's a big D&D guy. So talked to him a little bit about the game as we were going. One of the things he threw out there was like, well, what if this were set up in such a way where anybody else could use it and build their own game? And I said, you know what, that's a great idea.
Hmm.
So, whether or not I put that out there as something that's just open source that anybody can do, or if I get it to a point where it's a paid service, I don't know yet. But I like the idea, and I'm starting to set it up behind the scenes. I've just did a bunch of stuff. Like as soon as I did this new theme, I needed to set up sort of a design system for the plugin itself. So I set up a bunch of CSS tokens. So now I'm starting to run things through CSS tokens, which then will allow me to make that game something that, if Ryan wants to go make a zombies game, you can take the
I do.
plugin.
Full
So
disclosure.
yeah, so you could technically take the plugin, create. I do need to go make a token CSS file to put in all those root variables in there,
Mhm.
but then you could technically go in and you could skin the plugin itself, and then do whatever you wanted on your theme. Or then you could have tokens on your
Nice.
theme, like
Yeah.
leverage the stuff that's being created at the root from the theme.json, and then have that available to you in the plugin, then to make your plugin look like whatever game you want to design as well. So it's a long-term thought that I'd like to have, and if it gets to
Very
that point,
cool.
I think that would be really cool if more people want to do this, can go out and make their own little games.
I think it's great. Question for you. You got me
Hmm.
thinking about the CSS stuff. So right now, the plugin is the brains. It's what does the quests and the scenes and all that and the campaigns, right?
Yeah.
And so does the theme? Obviously, the theme is what it is the styles, but does the plugin pull from the theme JSON or vice versa? Like, how does that connect? Like, so in a perfect world, I would take this plugin, I would install it, I'd build my quests, my themes, and my campaigns. I'd throw a zombie apocalypse theme on top of it, and all the pieces connect. How do you see that working, or how does that work now?
It's going that direction. So what had
Okay.
happened is on Sunday, I decided last minute I need a better theme for this whole game. And because I'm part of the Miles AI beta program,
Right.
I was able to leverage that service and I built a crazy awesome, I think it's a really crazy awesome, nice interactive animated theme. But then I was like, oh man, my plugin doesn't look anything like it. So again, I jumped into Cloud. I think I have a document here somewhere. So I make sure I always document all my stuff. Or maybe I think I might have that somewhere else. But I do have a design system um, somewhere. I have a doc. So it outlines like all of the variables that are available from the theme. So I'm moving towards that direction where
Nice.
I'm going to pull from the theme.json, but there's a way that you can set things up in a token. I'm doing it in a different project where you can set things up to use the theme.json as a fallback. So you can customize the color to your liking independently in the theme,
Oh,
but
nice.
have excuse me, have the theme JSON equivalent be the fallback.
That's really
So
cool.
that'll just allow
Yeah.
anybody to kind of go in and skin it the way they would want to skin it.
Yeah, that would be very cool. That I think would be super powerful. I mean, I think that's how we should build in WordPress in general, right? Like we should, there should be, like, we don't really have a common token naming, variable naming approach. I mean, we do if we follow like some of the core themes and stuff, but it'd be very cool if there was just like, I mean, this is going to be a controversial take, but if everything was named a similar way or the same way, then all themes and plugins would just work really well.
I would love to see that. Like,
you know,
one of the things I learned, like I've just within the last maybe 6 to 8 months is when I really dove in to learn block themes. I was not really into the block theme side of it because I was really focused on like great front end blocks for such a long time.
right.
I learned so much by playing with Ollie. What those guys are doing over there is great. I love the design system concept where they have consistent naming with primary
Yeah. Shout out to
and
Mike.
secondary. They have a couple of very key names. So when I first started learning, I was using the Ollie theme and kind of patterning some of the things I was doing after what they were doing. And it was a great way to start learning. And then I kind of dove into like stuff with Miles, and I started seeing how Miles was building themes. And again, you know, you learn more stuff, and then just other personal learnings and doing other courses, and then, you know, diving into like, I think 2025 was the first time when I really started to get some good experience. And I did a little smaller amount of contributing to 2025. And that's sort of when I started to want to learn more about block themes as well.
Nice.
One of the other things I think I should show as well. So in the case where if this plugin were to become something that other folks can start using, the building of the data is the really is the big amount of work here after you get through all the development, like sitting down and flowing content in for as many quests and as many scenes as there are is a significant amount of work. And of course, because I was testing it, I was constantly like dumping my database or refreshing it, and it was becoming a bit of a pain. So I wrote a CLI command, or I should say Claude helped me write a CLI command where I can import all of the races and classes whenever I want to with a real quick CLI command, so I don't have to manually build out all the taxonomy terms. I have all of the quest images. They all live excuse me, here in the plugin. So you can open up, you just get like whatever image. So they're all named pretty specifically, and that ties into some of the data. So if you look at, this is the first quest that you go through. You can see you get a campaign here. So this is a really simple one because there's not a lot to it. But if you look at, so this is the quest.json. So what happens is when you run, I think the CLI command is VOF import. It will go through, it will import all of these quest.jsons, and it'll build like, so when we looked at the
the debugging page that you had, that's just basically the output of that, right?
Pretty much, yeah. So when you start looking at what's going on down here, so this is what's happening here, and then the CLI command will import it and build that entire page, because having to go through and try to select all of this stuff, that's a ton of tedious work that no one wants to do that. So
as Sweet Brown says, I pressed it twice. Ain't nobody got time for that. So
I was waiting. I don't have the Twitch stream open here because it's a bit weird seeing the delay. So I was wondering if anybody was throwing those up.
That was me.
And then it also goes through and it creates all the scenes for us. So like 112 scenes to build them. It's straight copy paste work, but that's a lot of work to paste them all in, add the feature image.
Did you generate these with Claude, or did you generate them? Yeah. Did you pull that? Okay, cool.
So what we did at first is when we were working through it, I have all the scenes.
Are you saying we, like you and Claude, were having a beer working on this?
Hell yeah.
I love it. Claude's the person. It's fantastic.
Absolutely. So I mean, obviously, I mean, like a lot of other developers, when you're starting to document stuff, like I'm telling Claude to make all these markdown files for me and telling it to sort everything for me. So the story was the one where I didn't let Claude fully take the wheel.
Right.
This was one where I came in with I had the initial concept of like a gem for founders, and I don't want to say too much about sort of what that's all about, but I
Spoiler
had
alert.
the
Yeah.
initial idea, so I wrote down a whole bunch of things that I thought could happen, and then Claude and I had a long conversation over several days over how we could have story turns and arcs and changes and how things could get impacted later. It was really an interesting approach. Like I'm so used to like seeing and working with Claude from a coding point of view, not so much on a content point of view. But
Right.
having the conversations and some of the ideas that it came up with based on something that I might have told, it was really interesting. It was a fun approach to building a story. So
It's
yeah, so I
awesome.
have all of these MD files, and then at the end of it, I just said to Claude, I'm like, hey, this is a pain. I need to get this stuff to the site as fast as I can. Can you hook me up with a bunch of JSON files and a CLI command? And I think like 20 minutes later, I had it all done.
That's
And then
amazing.
it goes through and
That's
imports
that's
all
the
this
kind of
stuff.
stuff.
And
That's the kind of stuff that CLI or sorry that like AI is made for. Like
mhm.
I've had a bit of an existential crisis in the past few weeks about like am I going to get replaced as a developer? And I don't think so, but we'll see. But this is the kind of stuff that would take hours and hours to figure out and build and debug and test, and you can just tell it go do this and then go work on something else and then come back and test it once and then be like no it didn't work and this is
Yeah.
why. Like it's like this is purpose built for AI, like or that's what AI is
Yeah.
purpose built for, this kind of stuff.
And one of
It's
my
great.
favorite things too is as I was going through with Claude and creating each of these scenes, I had it set up to a point where I knew like I didn't have to give it too much context and too much prompting because it got into a flow of what I was looking to do.
Right.
And at the end, there's a couple spots where I don't know where the docs are now at this point, but oh, here, I brought it all back together. So as part of each of the individual scenes, I also had Claude tell me like, "Hey, give me a suggestion on the images." I really struggled with making good images with Nano Banana. I don't know why my prompts weren't doing what I wanted. I was getting a lot of garbage images,
Mm-hmm.
and I had mentioned something about it on Twitter at one point, and it was Ian Misner had come in and said like, "Listen, why don't you just go and ask Claude to write you a prompt for Nano Banana?" That unlocked all the doors for me as far as image
I'm
creation
gonna
goes.
second that because you told me that you did that because I asked you because you shared like so the thumbnail for this video is you and I dressed up like medieval peons, right? And I was like, these are so good. How did you get and you told me you asked AI to generate a prompt for AI, and I've started
Yeah.
doing that, and it has been so good because I would ask for things and I would get really crappy pictures. Like I did one yesterday for an interactivity talk that I'm doing at WordCamp Asia plug, and there is so I had a complicated thing where I wanted to show, and I asked AI to do it, and it gave me this really good image, and it was like so much better. Anyways, so kudos to
Yeah.
you and Ian apparently for coming up with that little life hack there because it was amazing. It's so good.
Yeah, it was great because then as I was writing the story, I was telling it like, now give me an image for each of these scenes and give me an alt tag for all of the scenes, and then I used all of that on the import. So when you import it in, so this is like the big. I had a lot of struggles trying to get Nano Banana to do it. I had to sit down at one point and do it all together. So I had to generate all 112 images at the same time to
Mm,
try to stick within a consistent thing. But even with the paid account, you're maxed at 100. So
right.
and then I had to do multiple chats. It was a big pain. So I kind of put together this larger doc and started working with it here. So it gives me file names, alt tags. Here's the prompt that it tells me to use, and started generating images. So I can show a couple of things here real quick. So we got like I mentioned this one earlier.
I love
At one
that.
point
That's
we
so
were
good.
going. It had generated a map, and it was just basically the Eldermore area itself. And I said, you know what? Let's set the stage for something bigger. Like I knew that one of the founders was from Thornwood, and there was some other spots here. But I thought, let's make a map now that we can allude to other areas that we can expand the game out into down the road. So if I wanted to, have someone kind of travel into Bandits Pass and come into the Ashen Wastes, and It was a really
Mm.
interesting idea to have Claude kind of make my map, and now all of a sudden I've got, a half dozen areas where I can make,
Yeah, like
Tales
the
of Fate, the Iron
Shadowlands
Peaks.
and
Yeah.
the Carrion Swamps. That sounds
Yeah, so that was
scary.
a lot of fun to
That's so
do
cool.
that. Um, just
This kind of stuff's amazing, man. I mean, it
so
blows me away just how. And there's that, like, so
speaking
that
of the images that we used, it was quite fun. This was a fun little project. We might have
that's
over
literally.
promoted we might have over promoted this stuff on Twitter.
No,
I
we
don't
didn't.
care.
No, we didn't. Hold on. Where's the Troy? Do you have the
Oh, it's
image?
coming.
The big one. This is my favorite image. That one is ridiculous.
Oh
That is
well.
actually the thumbnail that I use on all of my streams of me pointing, and it did a really good job of making me dress like a medieval peon.
Yeah. So and this is the one we're talking about here, where
I love that one. It is
it's
so
such a great
funny.
image.
It doesn't. I don't think it looks like me too much, but it does a
Well,
little.
you
It does enough. It's fantastic.
okay. So you look like a cross between you and Samwise Gamgee here. Not gonna lie.
I feel like I look like the president. Zelensky from Ukraine a little bit in that picture. I don't know. Maybe not.
That image was accidental too. I never
So
told you
good.
about that one, but
So good.
Ryan and I were talking, and so with Ryan's image, obviously he's pointing inwards, and I took an image of myself. I was wearing the WordPress hat you gave me, and it was just I wasn't really pointing. So I took another one and I pointed, and I ran both the images through Claude, and I said, "Great, make us both point towards the center of the screen, and I'm going to put the logo in there." That image came out, and I said, "I got gold," because it was so
good.
great.
I want to just switch to my screen for a second to show the image of you as a blacksmith. It is so good. I don't know if you want.
Oh, I was going to pull that one open too, because one of
yeah. Go ahead. It's so
one
good.
of the ones that well, I'll show you two versions of it, because the first one, because I had a hat on, so I'm assuming that AI just by default assumes that if you're wearing a hat, you're a bald man. I'm assuming that by default. This was the second iteration of this photo. I had to go back and tell Claude, like, I want some hair, please.
Yeah.
But I sent this
So
one to my
good.
wife, and here's that image.
It is so good. Like like I don't know if you can see that, chat, but like he's got like beads of sweat on his forehead from the like it's so good.
Yeah.
It is so good.
Now
can
the
you share
first version of
prompt
that was this
that you
though.
did with Omen? Let me see that one again. And send it to me, because that's going to be the new Troy command. Where is? Oh
Done.
my god, that's so good.
So I sent that one to my wife, and I said, "What do you think? Improvement?" And she's like, "That looks so creepy." And I was like, "Yeah, I agree." But it's great.
Can you share the prompt with me? Because I'm gonna put like some pictures through it and just see how you did that. It's so funny.
Yeah, I can share some stuff with you after that.
Yeah.
Some of the stuff I used here for sure. But
so funny. That's so good. I love so let's just reflect on how good imagery creation has become in AI. Because I remember doing a stream, I don't know how long ago, maybe a year ago, and we were getting I can't remember what I was using, but we were building something. I think it was using ChatGPT or something. It was generating these images, and remember, like, there'd be like people holding hands with 9 fingers, and like they'd have 3 ears. It was horrible. And now we have that, which is like terrifyingly realistic.
Yeah, so when I first so these are all the images right here in the first 3 acts of the game. Also, I do need to redo the site, because or at least I need to redo the founders page, because I don't like the flow of it now that I've got a new theme in there. I just haven't had a chance to do it. But up front, like you see here, the founders. Yeah. So like the images that were created for the founders were fantastic.
So good.
Yeah, but then like even if you just grab like some random stuff here.
Like they're all in the same, like, I don't know how much prompting you had to do to get this, but like they're all the same artwork style. They're all like, it's very good. It's very, very good. Because I've run the same prompt a few times and gotten very different styles, and like very good.
So here was the key. This is what really helped me get these things quite consistent, is that I had Claude write me basically a design guide for those images. So I would start a prompt off by giving it just this. And then it would say, "Okay, what's your first image?" And then I would give it the context for the prompt here, and it would create the image. Now, at a certain point, you get to the end of, I guess, that prompt's capability to do anything good, because it got to the point when it was generating some horrible images.
Yeah,
I would just close that prompt, start up a new one, give it the style, and it would pick up right where it left off.
That's
It was
amazing.
great. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think that like when you're doing this sort of stuff and you don't have the context, like I use Cloud Code all the time, and it'll tell me I've got so much context left, and then when I run out of context, it tries to compact it, and things just fall apart at that point. So I just like close it and do a new one, and then but it's getting back to that same point every single time. But it looks like you've solved that issue. That's really cool.
Now that took me a long time because that was not something that I could just tell Claude to do for me, right? So I really had to get in there and
Right,
trial and error until I got to a point. And then once I got to that point where I'm like, oh, I'm getting this consistently, I sat down one night, threw something on Netflix, and I basically made 100 images in one night until I realized I just hit an image cap.
oh
And then the next morning I had to come
yeah,
back. It was like 24 hours later I came back and created the last 12
yeah.
images or whatever it was.
Nice. But by that point, you had the prompt down, so it was just busy work at that point. It was just doing
Yeah,
it, right?
absolutely.
Nice.
So
Very cool. Very cool.
yeah.
That's awesome. So much fun.
Yeah, so like I said, like I would like to get this thing open for anybody that wants to play it like as soon as I can. Like I was originally thinking like end of month, but I'm wondering if I could probably get it done just enough, maybe step down off of my uber pickiness a little bit on some of the elements, and just get it out there and let some folks play it and start getting some
Yeah.
good feedback. I
If
do
you
need to
open
make
it
a
up as a
feedback
beta,
form on here.
yeah, if you put a big beta 1 open badge on there, people will understand that it's still a work in progress, I think.
Yeah.
And
I think the big one for me, and I'll probably just do this tonight. I really want my character image. I can't go. It has no bearing on the game. It makes no difference, but I want my character image here. So
sure. You should tie it into AI so people can put in a key or whatever and like generate their own image, or you can pay for
long term,
it.
long
Yeah.
term.
Yeah.
But also
Well, with
at
the
the end of the day too, like you could very easily just go into Nano Banana, create the image that you
yeah,
want, and upload it into your character, and not have to
for
put in
sure.
your key and have more credits and spend more money. And like people
For
are
sure.
spending too much money now on AI as it is. So
Yeah.
whatever I can do to not have people spend money. And
Yeah. I mean, your MVP could just be Gravatar, whatever their Gravatar image is assigned to their email, which wouldn't really fit the aesthetic of the game, I would imagine. But
yeah. Yeah, I like the idea of letting you guys, letting players like yourself go ahead and do whatever you would like to do.
yeah, for sure.
At that point.
Awesome. Well, we got 8 minutes or so left before noon, which is usually when we wrap it up. Is there anything else that you wanted to show us, talk about, preview?
I can't think of anything really.
Cool. Do you mind if I share can we share the GitHubs? Are they public or?
The theme is public. I mean, anything I'm doing with the Miles AI agent, I make it public because I do like to share it back with Andy so he can use it to make Miles better.
Cool.
So yeah, the theme itself is public. Right now the plugin is not, because I don't know if it's something that I just want to make open for everyone to use,
sure.
or if I do, I at least want it to be fully finished.
You're right.
Before people start to build their own games with it.
I will share the URL for the Veils of Fate by Miles URL. That's okay, or theme, if that's good. And then yeah, so I realize I have access to the plugin because you want me to take a look at it. But other than that, we will leave that secret for now. So
and then we do have the main homepage here that is ready to go. It's got
I did
all
link
the content.
that, but we can. I'll drop it back in chat so people can have a look if they want. Is there like a sign up or like a I want to play this? No, it doesn't look like it. So maybe
no, I haven't
harass you to
I haven't put that in
a beta opt-in or something. Or
my goal was to use this show today to launch it, to be perfectly honest. Right. But my decision on Sunday, I think, was a good one because the look and feel of this site is a million times better.
Oh, this is great.
It's just really like making that decision 4 or 5 days before you go onto a show. It's a lot of extra work. So hopefully really soon. So
yeah, cool. Well, when you launch it, whenever that is, come back on and we'll play it.
Absolutely.
We'll do a game, or I'll just do it if you want, or whatever. Yeah, we'll have you back.
I'm open to anything. I mean, heck, if you want to bring on a couple people to do some stuff around it, I mean, whatever you want to do.
Yeah, that might be fun. Cool. Awesome. Well, this has been great. Yeah, I don't really have any that. I don't think there's no questions in chat. Everyone's just saying. The Lup says love the style. What's his name? Ethylene 1993 says that looks amazing and laughed hysterically at the photos of us in medieval garb. Yeah, so awesome. This is great. Cool. I don't really have anything else, but anything. Yeah, I don't know. Cool. So we can wrap it up. I'm gonna try to have Andy Peatling on and talk about Miles, because this is a good time, because you used Miles and it was a good experience for you.
I'm a big fan of Miles. Like, I've been playing with Telex and I've been playing with Miles, and I have a subscription to Figma Make, and I've tried. I saw someone posted on post status this morning called Pencil.dev that I want to check out.
Cool.
So far, Miles is by far my favorite. It creates some really, like, this. The prompt I did for this was so minimal. I gave the prompt my logo. I gave it one of the images from the game, and I gave it a stoned background that I originally had, and it came up with everything else. I didn't tell it colors, nothing.
Wow.
It just did all of this for me, and then I kind of tweaked it after the fact. So, like, I enjoy playing with Miles the most based on the fact that it's smarter on the design side, in my opinion, and the way it works with images. And, like, again, if I refresh it, like, just that subtle little animation stuff,
that's nice.
Things are moving around. It's just a nice touch.
That's really cool. So I guess I can probably just look at the theme here, but it looks like are all your styles and everything. Sorry, I'm clicking around in the theme. Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah, everything is there.
It generates all the things for you. Nice.
Yeah.
Because this guy needs that, because I'm the worst designer and front end developer. But awesome. Okay, well,
you're gonna have fun.
Yeah. Cool. Awesome, man. Well, thanks, Troy, for hanging out with us today. If there's any questions in chat for Troy, we got a few more minutes before we're going to drop off. So if you have questions, ask them now. Otherwise, you won't get to. That's how that works. I don't know. So anyway.
Right. So cool. Before I wrap up, I just wanted to mention a couple things. Like, so, Veils of Fate, obviously powered by WordPress in the Interactivity API. It's hosted by Kinsta, who are my sponsors. And it's also built by Miles. So anything related to the look and feel of this is now basically by whatever Miles has created. I'm starting to trickle that design out to the rest of it.
Nice. Very, very cool. This is so cool. Awesome. All right, man. Well, I think we'll wrap it up here. I think that's a perfect place to stop. But again, Troy, thanks again. And WordCamp Canada is coming up, right? We have WordCamp Canada.
Yes, that's right. So that announcement happened, was it a week or two ago? So yeah, WordCamp Canada is happening in Vancouver, November 5th and 6th. I am the web lead and the speaker lead. So we can quickly, cheap little plug here. So again, this is another site by Miles that is actually based on, well, I built it off of 2024 to get the look and feel, because I couldn't actually upload a theme into the WordCamp build. Yeah, it's coming to Vancouver, so check it out.
I'm going to drop a thing in there. And JesterWorld77 says, yay, see you back in Miles Slack. This looks awesome. I don't know. You must know JesterWorld77 from somewhere. I think there's
a few builds, because I've been sharing, like, basically what I've been doing with this theme. I've been sharing it back into the Miles beta Slack area just to give feedback and help improve Miles wherever we can. So I think a lot of folks were a bit interested in what I was doing, because it kind of went a little bit beyond, because I started talking a little bit more about what this was all about, really.
Cool. Awesome. Well, that's cool. And feel free to share this whole stream back in there if you want to. I don't know if people would be interested in seeing that or not, but because I don't have access, or I just go shamelessly plug it myself. But anyways, yeah. So I did drop the link to WordCamp Canada. So I don't think there's no calls out for anything yet at this
sponsors.
Point, but, sponsors.
It would be Yeah, we got a call for sponsors. And if anybody is here watching this right now and would like to volunteer, we are looking for leads on some of our teams. If you don't want to take on a leadership role, we are definitely looking for volunteers on various teams. You can feel free to hit me up. Find me on on Twitter. Find me on Blue Sky. Find me on Make Slack. Find me on the WordCamp Canada Slack, or the WordPress Canada Slack channel. Find me on Post Status. I'm not a hard guy to find, so if you guys want to get involved in WordCamp Canada, let me know.
Awesome. Perfect. Well, that's the perfect time to end this. 11:59 local time here in Canada, Eastern Coast. So we're gonna wrap it up. But Troy, can't thank you enough for coming and hanging out with us today and showing us Veils of Fate, Tales of Eldermore. Tales of Eldermore. I am so excited to play this. So I have it set up locally, so I might just play through it. But I'm excited for it to open for you. And when it does get open, let us know, and we can all we'll share it wide and far.
Awesome. Well, thank you for having me on, Ryan. It was much appreciated. You giving me an opportunity to kind of show off some
no problem. This is great. I
some
love
of the fun things I've been working on.
I don't get to build super fun things like this anymore, so I want to have everyone come on and show us what they do. So, all right. On that note, we are going to say goodbye. But Troy, thanks again, and we'll talk to you all. Oh, I will not be streaming next week because I will be away in Costa Rica for a work thing, but I should be back the week after that. So, anyhow, talk to you all later. Thanks, Troy. You're the best. You're the man. Looking forward to seeing you in Vancouver, hopefully. And otherwise, we'll see you all on the internets. Bye.